Welcome everyone to this 9x live workshop on building an AI agent with Relay.app live with Jacob Bank. So we're very excited to have Jacob joining us for this one. Let me just make sure we've got the spotlights working. Perfect. So before I hand over to Jacob, I just have a couple of let's say introductions, housekeeping from the 9x side. So for anyone who doesn't know, hi, we're 9x. We are building your one-stop shop for learning AI and automation. We believe that AI and automation are the most important skills to learn right now. And it's our mission to sort of bring these skills to you on a silver platter. We offer courses, company workshops, live workshops like the one you're currently in, and all the way up to custom programs for larger companies. Now we can get on to the fun stuff, kicking off the workshop. But before I hand over to you, Jacob, I just want to say a few words from our side about Relay.app. And for us, what makes this product really, really exciting is the fact that it's an automation platform, integration platform, AI agent builder platform, whatever you choose to call it. But it's a platform that has been built with AI in mind. And it was one of the first tools to realize the importance of having human in the loop in workflows that involve AI. And what's even more important is their platform makes it incredibly easy for non-technical professionals to be able to set up their own AI automations. And I think additionally yourself, Jacob, you've really been driving this forward with what you've been posting on LinkedIn as well as YouTube and in your live sessions. So we're incredibly excited to have you join us for this week's 9x live workshop. So
awesome. Thanks, Jan. That's a better ad than I could have given for myself. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. Let me stop sharing the screen. And before you start, I just want to open up with, maybe we can kick off with the first question, which I think is maybe for some people probably the elephant in the room of the whole question of what is an AI agent. There's been a lot of debate on LinkedIn. We've obviously, my co-founder Alex published a very post that went viral about comparing automations, AI agents, and AI workflows. But from our last chat, you had a very interesting take on this one. So Jacob, what is, in your mind, what is an AI agent?
Ooh, I love this topic. So first, I think there's one top level distinction that is very material to think about when you're choosing an AI tool. The first is it a copilot or a chatbot? Is it something that I'm going to talk to live as I'm doing my work? So if you go to ChatGPT and you type in a question, that's a chatbot. If you're in Google Docs and you click the Gemini button on the right-hand side, that's a copilot, because you are actively engaged in a session of doing work and AI is collaborating with you live. That's one class of AI tool. Those are super valuable. Then there's a second class of AI tool, which you could call an automation or a workflow and an agent, and we'll talk about the distinction between those, where the AI is doing work on your behalf behind the scenes without any interactivity needed from you. It wakes up on its own, it does work on its own. It might check in with you from time to time as a human in the loop, but fundamentally it's doing the work on its own. And I think this is a critical distinction. We should all be using both of these. And there are some cases where a live copilot or a chatbot is the right experience, and there are some cases where you can fully delegate to an AI to work on your behalf behind the scenes. Then within that second category, personally, I think people are talking about AI agents as anything in that second category.
Yeah.
What people think of when they think of an AI agent, they don't think of the technical definition of an AI agent, which is like goal-oriented tool calling at runtime. We'll talk about what that means in a second. They think, oh yeah, it's got like human level intelligence and it's doing work for me behind the scenes in the way that an employee might. And now here's how I think about an automation versus a workflow versus an agent. An automation is typically a single step AI action. Like a blog post is posted, summarize it for me. Or an email comes in, extract the invoice information. Then you can chain AI automations together into a workflow. And that may be multiple steps. For example, the blog post was published, summarize it, now draft a LinkedIn post for me, draft a tweet for me, and post all of those. So you're still making a plan up front of AI, here's exactly what you're going to do, but it's chaining together multiple different intelligent steps. Then an agent is one further step where you're not specifically spelling out for the AI, do this, then do this, then do this. You're saying, I want to promote my new blog post on social. The tools you have available are You can write stuff, you can post on LinkedIn, you can post on Twitter. You figure out how to use those tools. And I think what we're going to see in this session in practice is that the line between workflow and agent can actually be very blurry. And I don't think it's that worthwhile for all of us to debate the semantics of it. We should just figure out like what is the right approach for the given use case we're trying to accomplish.
100%. And I think it's really about what is the end goal at the end of the day. And like whether I think there's too much now the case where it goes the other way, where people are, because of the technical definition of an AI agent, people are bringing in AI agent steps even when it's not needed. But at the end of the day, it's like a blog writing agent should write a good blog article for you. And that's the big goal at the end of the day.
So I in all my LinkedIn posts and videos, I'm going to use the word agent to cover automation, workflow, and agent. What I mean by an agent is it works on your behalf behind the scenes, even if you're not in a live session with it, and it has impressive human level intelligence.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Nice. Then I'm super excited to get into this live build. With regards to timing, Jacob, I know like people feel free to ask questions in the chat. Is it better? Are you just going to power through this? Do you want me to interrupt you when there's some questions?
So I really do want the interruptions because I don't want this to just be a lean back demo where I'm clicking around and it's hard to follow. I want people as much as possible to build this thing with me. So I'm going to build in breaks every couple of steps to go into the chat, let people catch up, answer questions. And Jan, please keep me honest. Like if you see me going too fast or too slowly, just please do interrupt and I'll come back and answer questions.
Perfect. Awesome. Then let's get into it. And yeah, everyone feel free to use the chat. I'll be monitoring it and let's have some fun.
Great. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, perfect. So I'm in the Relay.app product now, and I've gotten to the new workflow screen, but we're actually not going to start here because I want to build this thing end to end, which often means setting up things in other tools first. So the use case we're going to build today is when a new prospect demonstrates interest in your product or service. For example, they click a request demo button on your website. You want to do some research about them automatically to see if they're a good fit for your offering. And then you can do whatever you want with that. You could write a Google Doc, you could update your CRM, you could send them a confirmation email. We'll show a couple examples of that, but you want to do research on this new prospect that has come in. And so what I actually want to start with is the form that people are going to fill out on the website. Now, you may, for your real website, already have a form, but for simplicity for this demo, I want us to just all make a new Google form live. So let me get into my Relay.app tab and open up Google Forms. Can you all see Google Forms?
Yeah, looks good.
If you don't want to use Google Forms, you can use Fill Out. You can use whatever form tool you want. Relay integrates with most of them, but I think Google Forms is kind of a simple, accessible one that's available to many people. And let's make a really simple form. So click New Form, and then where it says Untitled Form, let's just call this like New Leads, and I'm actually going to write demo in front of it. Demo, new leads. And let's ask a few questions. So I'm going to click on untitled question and I'm going to say, what is your company name? And I'll make that, a text short answer. It turns out Google Forms is actually pretty smart about knowing what kind of answer type to use for that. So I've got their email coming in, I've got their company name, and let me just get their name. What is your name? And again, that's short answer. So of course, in real life, you might have a bunch of other screening and qualifying questions in your lead form, but for the purpose of this demo, a simple Google form that takes in your email, your company name, and your name will give us plenty to work with to create this AI research agent. So I'm actually going to paste that title up into the top, and I'm going to give everyone 10 seconds to get a Google form that looks roughly like this one.
Awesome. First call out is Jacob. Apparently your internet is much better than yesterday. I guess there was
please don't jinx it. Please don't jinx it. I'm actually, the timing is unfortunate. I'm actually getting new fiber internet installed right after this call ends. So if my internet cuts out, it's been really unreliable recently. Please bear with me. Jan will answer questions and I'll be back on in a minute.
I'll take it over for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone's got a Google form now. We're done on the Google Forms side of the house for now. So we can close this tab. Now, I already have a Relay.app account, and so I already got myself to the new workflow screen, but let me just show you how to do that so that we can all get to the same place at the same time. Open up a new browser tab and type in Relay.app. You're going to get to our landing page that Jan had showed in his very kind slide advertising us. And if you already have an account, you can click login in the top right. If you don't have an account yet, you can click start for free. And I think if I click start for free, it's actually just going to take me right into my already existing account. But if you click start for free and you don't have an account yet, it's going to take you through a very short account creation experience where you can sign in with either Google or Microsoft. You'll have to answer a question about how you heard about us. And then very quickly, you'll be able to meet me in the new workflow screen. So I'm going to give everyone 10 seconds to get to the new workflow screen. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat if you're running into an issue getting there.
And I guess whenever someone creates a free account, there's probably an AI research agent that's triggered in the background and doing
Yeah, funny you should mention that. Yes, we eat our own dog food. So I'll be automatically looking up some information about you, your LinkedIn profile, your business, etc.
Nice. Michael just asked Jacob, do we need to publish the Google form?
Oh, great question. I don't think you'll need to, but if we need to, we'll come back to that and debug it later.
Awesome.
I think it'll work in draft mode here.
Awesome.
But actually, yeah, while we're there, we might as well publish it. And let's say that anyone with the link can respond. Don't worry if you're not following this exactly. We'll go back and help you debug it if your Google form is not published. Thank you, Michael. Okay, so my Google form is now published.
Nice.
Okay, let me just quickly check the chat, see if there's anything else that has come up. Okay, so let's dive in. We're now in the new workflow screen in Relay.app. You can see I already titled my workflow in the left, build a research agent with me. You can click into this and title it whatever you want. You can also click the emoji on the left if you want to give it a different icon. Maybe I'm going to give it like a magnifying glass because I want it to, say search to me. And once you have as many workflows as I do, it's actually important to differentiate between them. And the first thing we're going to do in this AI workflow is to add a trigger. The trigger, if you've used other automation tools, whether it's Zapier or Make or Lindy, you're familiar with the concept of a trigger. This is what tells the AI to wake up and start working on your behalf. And in this case, we want to trigger whenever there's a new response to that Google form. So in the kind of top middle of the screen, you're going to see a blue text button with a plus button that says add trigger. Click that. What you're going to see then is a menu slide out from the right. And that's going to show you all the possible triggers that are available. You can trigger something manually. You can trigger something based on an action in an app. This is the most common. This is what we're going to do today. Like a new form is filled out, a new email is received, a new entry is in your CRM. You can have workflows run on an automated schedule once a week, once a month. You can trigger based on an RSS feed. If you're a more advanced user, you can set up a webhook, which probably Jan has a bunch of material covering how to use webhooks. But for now, we're going to trigger based on a new response to that Google form. So click apps, which is the top item in that menu. And you're not going to have as many connected apps as I do. I have a lot of connected apps, but you can type in Google Forms. And what that's going to do is take you to a submenu for Google Forms. Now, if you've not connected Google, and then the Google Forms trigger we're going to use is form response submitted. If you have not yet connected your Google Forms to Relay.app, which many of you probably will not have, you will be taken through an experience to give Relay.app permission to access the responses to your forms, which is necessary for us to be able to trigger this AI workflow. So click form response submitted. And for the folks that have to connect to their Google Forms account and give access, I'll give you 10 seconds to do that now. Let me know if there's any questions in the chat.
We had just a question from Renee regarding what other forms can we connect besides Google Forms. So I mentioned like two of our favorites at 9X are Fill Out and Tally, but I guess at Relay you have connections with a bunch of form builders and even website builders that have embedded forms.
Yep, so Fill Out and Tally are great ones. We integrate with both of those. We also have Typeform, Paperform. Sometimes your CRM, like HubSpot, may have built-in forms. We support those. You might use Webflow as your website creator has built-in forms that support those. So Relay.app supports a wide variety of forms, but if you prefer, the ones I recommend are exactly the same as you, Jan. Fill Out and Tally are really good starter forms products if you want something a little better than Google Forms.
And then there was a follow-up question, especially, Renee, if you haven't built your website yet, just a personal preference, but I actually prefer like the experience in setting up these forms in Fill Out and Tally. are so quick and so easy that even if I could build a form directly on my website, I tend to just embed these, and the experience is great. It really opens up a lot of possibilities. So even if you're starting from scratch with a website, feel free to check out one of those and you can embed them directly on the page.
I totally agree with that recommendation. The built-in form builders from the website companies are not as good. They're okay, they'll get you started, but the dedicated form builders are better and easier to use. Okay, so now that we're at this form response submitted trigger, you're gonna see it's asking us for which form do we want to look at replies for. And so the form we want to select is the form that we just created. It should be at the top of your list. For me, it is demo new leads. Now, this is a really good time to drill into this distinction between AI workflow and AI agent. You could create an AI agent that's just like, look at all my forms and decide when you need to do something. Like, I'm going to give you read access to all of my forms, just check them from time to time and decide what you need to do. But I actually think that's the wrong approach for this particular problem. It's going to be way too high latency. It's going to be way too expensive. It's going to be unpredictable and non-deterministic. In this case, we just want to tell the AI, just wake up every time there's a new form response for this new leads form. So this is a good example of when a workflow is superior to an agent in my point of view. Okay. I see a question about permissions. I'm going to come back to that in the end in the Q&A in a second, but the short of it is, first, fundamentally, the AI tool, whatever automation or AI tool you need, will need access to your underlying tools for it to be able to act on your behalf. Some tools like Notion are really good about letting you give access to specific files in your corpus, like specific databases.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with Google, they only support a very blanket permission, which is access everything or access nothing. And so you have to give us everything. If you're using this in an enterprise context, one common technique people use is they create a service account, which only has access to a subset of resources, and then connect that to Relay. That's using a more advanced feature called shared connections that we won't cover in this live session, but I'm happy to follow up offline on that.
Yeah. Another one that we use, I think it's similar, but a bit hacky version of that, Jacob, is we actually create a new user, like a new email address called like automation@go9x.com.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm recommending. Yep.
Yeah. And then you basically just share whatever sheet or whatever document, you just make sure they have access, and then you're by default the automation has access.
Exactly. And if you're using this in a consumer context, you could do the same thing. You could make another Gmail account, which is like Jan's automation helper at gmail.com, and only give that access to a subset of your forms or sheets or whatever.
Perfect.
Okay. And so now in the trigger menu, you'll see, and I'm going to speed up a little bit because I actually want to get to building the AI agent. We have no example data yet. So I'm just going to quickly go back to my form and submit a response. And that way we'll have an example to work with. And so to submit a response, I have to remember actually how to do this in Google Forms. Oh yeah, I copy the responder link. I open that in a new tab. And now I'm going to fill out this form with my own information. Jacob at Relay.app, Relay.app, Jacob Bank. Feel free to use my name, use your own name, use some company that you want to research, use Jan, use 9x, use whatever.
Yeah.
Just submit this Google form. Okay, then when you pop back to Relay, if you hit this little refresh button on the right, you're going to see that we've now pulled in this most recent form response. This preview box is really helpful because it lets you know, is my workflow going to wake up for the right stuff? And if you want, you can add filters or other more advanced. In this case, we want to trigger for every new form, but you can add filters if you want. And then you can quickly see what's the data I'm going to have access to. Yep, I'm going to have the email, the company name, and the name. Cool. Okay, so now that we have our trigger set up, let's build the AI agent. So let me tell you how this AI agent is going to work. And this is going to be a true AI agent in the sense that we're going to give it a set of tools, we're going to give it a goal, and we're going to let it run with those tools. For me, this is the one use case I found where AI agents are actually vastly superior to AI workflows, which is these research use cases, because it is actually pretty hard to describe the workflow of research. Like, find Jan's LinkedIn profile, look up the LinkedIn profile, find 9x's LinkedIn profile, look up that, find any other co-founders or colleagues at 9x, look up their LinkedIn profiles, do some web search. It's the kind of thing that's very well suited to an agent, giving it a set of tools and letting it run with it. So let's set up our AI agent. To do that, we're going to press the Add Step button. It's going to have a blue text plus add step. That's going to pop out a menu from the right. This is going to show you all the different automated steps you could add in your workflow with Relay.app. And we're going to select the third one down, which is AI. And even though I've done several of these live build with me sessions, this is going to be the first time we're ever using the true power of an AI agent. So you're going to scroll all the way down and you're going to see at the very bottom, agentic tools. And you see a little disclaimer. This is an advanced feature because an AI agent, if improperly configured, can run pretty wild and take actions on your behalf. So we recommend setting those up carefully. And so you're going to click agentic tools. You're going to then get some text that, again, warns you not to use this step if you don't need to use it. It's going to say, in most cases, just write a prompt that takes in some inputs and put in some outputs. But here's how we're going to set up this AI agent. First, we're going to give it a top-level prompt, which is like, what is the mission this AI agent is supposed to accomplish? And I'm going to type this in, but then I'm going to paste it in the chat. So just watch what I'm doing. Don't feel like you have to type along with me because I'm going to let you copy and paste it. So I'm going to say, yeah, go ahead, Jan.
No, I said awesome. This is amazing, and we're honored that the first live AI agent build is happening on a 9x live.
Yeah,
so thank you.
yeah. I wanted to make it extra special. Okay, so
hey Jacob, here's Tim speaking. Hi. How do you hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
we hear you.
Sure.
How did you select the AI agent? I don't find the option.
Let me go back and do that again.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
I'm going to go to the add step menu and press AI. And then scroll all the way down to the bottom. It's off the main screen, so you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom and hit Agentic Tools. You can also, in that little search box at the top, just type agent. And if you just type agent, it'll get you right there.
Got it. Thanks.
Sure.
It's hidden by design,
Yeah, because what we found is a lot of people are like, oh, cool, I want an AI agent. But again, in my opinion, 9 times out of 10, it's the wrong tool for the job. In this case, it's the right tool for the job. Okay, so I'm going to tell my agent, you are responsible for researching new leads that show interest in our product. Please create a detailed dossier of the person and their company. And that's a good enough starting point. We're going to need to iterate and refine this prompt a bunch, but this will get us started. So let me copy this and paste it in the chat for everyone. Send chat to everyone. There's the prompt that you can copy paste in. And we need to give the AI a little bit of data to work. We need to give it the result of the form response because otherwise it's going to say like which person and which company are you talking about? And I actually forget to do this a lot of times in live demos. I forget to give the AI all of the context and the data it needs. So I'm going to press the attach data button. And what that's going to let me do is attach anything I already have in my workflow so far. And you can see the first thing that comes up is the form response for number 1. So that's going to give the AI access to the full data from the form response, which includes the name, the person's name, the company's name, and the email address. So click form response. Next, I'm going to select the model that my AI agent is going to use. Now, for many AI use cases, like extracting data from a PDF, the cheapest models like GPT-4o Mini or Gemini 2.0 Flash are sufficient. But in this case, for agentic steps, I recommend using more advanced models and models that have reasoning. And so in this little selector where it says using GPT-4o Mini, I'm going to click that and I'm going to choose a different model. I'm going to go into the OpenAI submenu and I'm going to pick O3 Mini. You'll see there's $3 signs next to it. It's pretty expensive. But when you have a reasoning use case like this, in my experience, you do need the more advanced reasoning models. 4o Mini just won't be able to do the job. And then what I want to get out of this AI agent is text. I just want to get a text briefing. If you wanted to get some structured data out, like number of employees at the company or headquarters location, you could specify a structured object. We can handle that in a more advanced session later. But for now, let's just get text. Let's just get the AI to write a dossier in text for us.
Awesome.
So I'm going to pause there just to make sure everyone's got their prompt in, they've attached their form response, they're using O3 Mini, and then they're going to get text as their output.
Just had a couple of questions, Jacob, from like not able to get the attach the form data to the agent step. It could be, I'm guessing, that maybe they haven't done the test submission. And is that the case, that you need to run the test submission and get the data before?
You shouldn't actually need to.
Okay.
because this is attaching, whatever will come out of the trigger in the abstract. If you press add and you don't see form response in that menu, my guess is that your trigger is not fully configured yet. Maybe it's not connected, or maybe you don't have it set up. So you need to go back to the trigger and make sure that's fully set up with the right form in it.
Awesome.
And an alternative to attaching the whole thing at the end is within your prompt, you can press the @ key, and then you can just embed, for example, the respondent email directly in your prompt. That's an alternative mechanism if you prefer to have it all visualized right within your prompt.
Can I just say on this point, I really love that you gave both options. In one case, it's like, hey, here's all the data. And if you want to map each, you can map each, but this is, it's brilliant.
Yeah, because you want to give the AI what it needs and no more.
Exactly.
And so in some cases, giving it like a full HubSpot object is way overkill. And in some cases, you just want the convenience of giving it the whole email.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, let's give our AI some tools. So now we're going to go down to this AI action step. And I want to give my AI, I want to give it 4 tools for this research use case. And I think these are 4 general tools that are useful for a lot of research use cases. I want to let it search Google, execute Google searches. I want to let it look up LinkedIn profiles of both individuals and companies. I want to let it scrape text from websites if it needs to do that. And then I want to let it do deep research using Perplexity or OpenAI or one of the kind of the model providers built-in research tools. So I'm now going to go through and create tools that let my AI agent do each of those 4 things. And this is quite subtle. So follow along with me closely and ask questions in the chat. So the first thing I'm going to do is press add action. And now I'm going to get to name my action and specify the inputs to my action. We're then going to go back to our prompt and tell the top level agent when and how to use this action. So let's call this action search Google. Now, search Google is a pretty straightforward name, so I actually don't need to add any description here. I'm just going to write search Google. Now, when you're searching Google, what do you think is an input that you might need to execute a Google search?
Any guesses? A query, perhaps?
A query. Yeah, we only need one input, which is the query. So I'm going to press plus add input. And the data type of a query is just going to be text. So I'm going to select text at the top, and I'm going to call that thing query. And for the search Google step, all I need to give the AI is the query. So once you have this basic action set up, the action is called search Google. The input is a query. You're going to press the add step button on the left, which is going to turn that top level description of an action into an actual automated step. So press the add step button, and you're going to see that menu fly out from the right again with apps, flow control, AI, everything. And in this case, in the search box at the top, we're just going to type search Google because we have a built-in step for searching Google. So you're going to click search Google. You're gonna type search Google. I'm just going to pause at this screen for 5 seconds because I want people to catch up to right here. And then when you're ready, you can hit search Google. And as expected, the only thing the search Google step asks for is the search query. And so we need to give it the search query that was the input to this tool call. And so the way we're going to do that is at the right side of the search query box, you're going to see a little plus button. Click that plus button, and then you're going to see what you have available, what data you have available. And you'll see a little sparkly followed by a robot emoji, and then the words action parameters next to it. Hover on that, and you're going to see that that gives you access to the query that we set up when we were setting up the AI agent action. So you can select query. Now, in this case, it's going to feel annoying and duplicative that you had to set up the AI action with the query and then also the search Google step with the query. You could actually build a much more advanced action that is a multi-step process within the agent itself. But in this case, each of our AI agent tool calls, we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to make them one step. So this search Google action is just going to do literally one thing. It's going to search Google with that query.
And Jacob, just a question, if you
Yeah.
can, it was, let me just see, Richard's not, cannot use the add input. Maybe if you can just quickly go back to show where that is.
Yes. So if you're in the top level description of your AI agent's action, which you got to from the top level AI agent by pressing add action, you'll then have a name that you have to fill in, an optional description that we didn't fill in, and then in action inputs, press add input. That's going to give you a menu that's going to ask you to select the data type of your input. We selected text and then typed in query.
Perfect.
Then in the search Google step, to reference that, let me just show that again. On the right-hand side of the search query box, if you press the plus button, all of the data you have in your workflow will become available. You hover over action parameters and select query.
Amazing. Perfect.
Okay, let's add another tool. Let's add another AI action that our agent can use. To do that, just under AI agent, you'll see that search Google is one action, and then you're going to see a little plus button next to it. A little plus button next to it. I'm just going to hover over that and circle around that plus button for 5 seconds so everyone can see it. That little plus button right under AI agent. Click that plus button. We're going to make a second action. And we're going to call this action, oops, the Zoom was taking my cursor there. Get LinkedIn. Oh, it's funny. Whenever someone joins, Zoom thinks my focus should be on letting the person in, not doing the screen share. Sorry about that. Get LinkedIn profile data is what we're going to call this action. And what do you think the input to a get LinkedIn profile data action should be? Sorry, Jan, for quizzing you.
Yeah, I was like, do you want to open in the chat or should I jump straight in?
Yeah, anyone
would...
feel free to type in the chat.
Or got a lot of people have named it the URL.
The URL, thank you. Yes, we want to get the LinkedIn profile URL. And yes, this recording will be shared later, so apologies on the speed. We'll make sure everyone can go through it at their own pace. So I'm going to click add input. I'm going to scroll down to URL and select that. And I'm going to call this LinkedIn profile URL. Going to save that.
Awesome.
So now you're going to see an AI agent action. This is our second action. It's called get LinkedIn profile data. And the action input it takes in is the LinkedIn profile URL. Now let's go configure that step that's going to use the LinkedIn profile URL and pull down the data. Let's press the add step button again. And again, I instead of clicking through all the menus, I like to just type. So I'm just going to type LinkedIn. And you'll see when you type LinkedIn, the first option that comes up is get LinkedIn profile data, which is exactly what we want in this case. You can also get the posts and the comments and whatever, but in this case, we want to get the LinkedIn profile data. So select that first one, which is get LinkedIn profile data. And much like our search Google step from the last action, the LinkedIn profile data step only takes in one parameter, which is the profile URL. And luckily, that's the exact parameter that we have available from our action parameters. So I'm going to click this dropdown, hover over action parameters, and select the LinkedIn profile. I'm just going to pause with my mouse exactly here for 10 seconds.
Awesome. And maybe on that pause, one thing I also noticed there, Jacob, and it's a question that comes up. I saw there was also the action of search LinkedIn profile by email. Now,
Yes.
This one I've seen is, from what I understand, is mixed results because typically a lot of people have their LinkedIn account using their personal email. And if you're a B2B company, typically they're submitting forms using their company email.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I actually want to remove that step from the product because it almost never works appropriately. Almost always the best way to find a LinkedIn profile is to search for it on Google. Search like, Jan Meineke 9X, and then extract that result from the Google search. So that's why we're using this search Google and get data kind of combination rather than that dedicated step. I also want to improve that dedicated step, which we will do. Yeah. But this is a technique I recommend. Okay, so I think our 10 seconds have passed. I'm going to click LinkedIn profile. And now I just have to say one more thing. If no profiles are found, what should I do? What should I do? Should I throw an error or should I continue? And the answer is continue. Because if there are no profiles are found, just keep going. Just keep looking for other profiles. Okay, now we have our first two tools set up. I want to quickly set up a third tool. I'm not going to do all four. I'm just going to set up a third tool, and then we're gonna run it because I want to show the experience of testing and debugging the agent. So let's set up one more tool. So once again, you see where it now says search Google and then get LinkedIn profile data. There's that plus button next to it to add another action. I'm going to just hover my mouse over that for 5 seconds, that little plus button. And I'm going to click it. Okay, and so this action is do research with Perplexity. So in the name, I'm going to type do research with Perplexity. And that's the name of the action. Again, I think that name is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to add a description here. And now for do research with Perplexity, what do I need to pass to Perplexity for it to do research on my behalf?
This time I'm going to jump in straight away and say a query.
Yes, I'm going to call it prompt, but same thing. I'm going to give it text, which is either a query or a prompt. So I'm going to press action inputs. I'm going to select text, and I'm going to type prompt. And this is going to ask my agent to create a prompt to give to Perplexity to do research. So I'm gonna save that. So you're gonna see do research with Perplexity, one text input. That text input is a prompt. I'm going to speed up a little bit. Don't worry, we'll have the recording available. Recording available. So now I need to set up that Perplexity step. So I'm going to press add step again. This time I'm going to select the third item down in the AI menu. And I'm going to select the top item, prompt any model. I'll pause here for 5 seconds. Hover over prompt any model. Okay, now I'm going to click it. And now I'm given a full screen experience, which is how I write an AI step within an automated workflow. I have a whole bunch of other tutorials on how to do this, but I'm going to kind of blaze through it in the context of this agent. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick in the prompt. And the prompt I'm going to get from the action parameters prompt. So if you press the @ key, you're going to see that little menu pop up. And I'm going to hover over action parameters, and you see we have the prompt available there. So I'm going to pause here for 10 seconds to let everyone retrieve the prompt from their action parameters and paste it into the prompt box.
And just so that I'm confirming what I think is happening here is basically you're not writing what the prompt is. The AI agent, at the time of run, will decide what is the best prompt to give Perplexity and basically fill in that information.
Exactly right.
Amazing.
And the agent may want to do Perplexity with many prompts. It has that flexibility if it wants to. So I'm going to paste in the prompt, and that's all Perplexity needs. Then you see where it says using best fit AI model right below that. If you hover over that menu, you'll see the various model providers that we support natively in Relay.app. I'm going to pick Perplexity. I'm actually not going to do deep research here, too slow and too expensive for this demo. But I've had really good results with Sonar Reasoning Pro. That uses a US hosted version of a DeepSeek R1 reasoning model. So hover over Perplexity and pick Perplexity Sonar Reasoning Pro. And you can see it says support live online search. Not all models support live online search. Some models, if you tell them to do a search, they'll say, I cannot do that. I cannot do search. My knowledge cutoff is October 2024. But Perplexity can do live online search. So hit Perplexity Sonar Reasoning Pro.
Perfect.
And we don't need to test this step, and then we don't need to change the behavior. We're done setting up this AI step. And so I'm going to pause on this screen just for another 10 seconds so everyone can see it, and then I'm going to hit done. Done is currently occluded by the LinkedIn little bottom bar UI, but I'm going to hit the X at the top right, which is equivalent to done, but you can hit done. Okay, so now we've given the AI agent all the tools I want to give it in this demo. You could go give it more tools. You could let it scrape text from website. You could let it look up LinkedIn comments. You could let it browse Amazon product pages. You could let it look at Blue Sky posts. You can give your AI agent as many tools as you want. I think for this research use case, these 3 tools, searching Google, getting LinkedIn profile data, and doing research with Perplexity are totally sufficient to accomplish our task. So now I'm going to go back to that top level prompt, and I'm going to give the AI a bit more guidance about how to use its tools to achieve its goal. So let's click back into the top level AI agent. I'm just going to hover there where I'm about to click for 10 seconds so everyone sees it. And I'm going to click into the AI agent. So now I'm back into my prompt. And all the prompt says right now is you're responsible for researching new leads, create a detailed dossier. I don't think I'm giving the AI agent quite enough information about how to use its tools. So let me type out some more information about how the AI should use the tools. And you don't need to type with me because I'll paste this in the chat. So I'll say, please use your tools in the following manner. Use search Google to look up LinkedIn profiles. Use get LinkedIn profile data to fetch the LinkedIn information. Use do research with Perplexity to find up-to-date information about the person and company online. Again, I don't know yet if I'm giving my AI enough guidance here, but I'm at least saying, here's roughly what you're supposed to use each of those 3 tools for, if you need to. So let me copy.
And just to reiterate here, Jacob, it's enough to basically just give the tool by its name. You don't need to specifically tag it. It's like use search Google. It then understands, I have a search Google tool. That's what Jacob currently means by this.
Exactly right. I think this is a UX opportunity for us to improve. Like right now, I'm kind of praying that it's going to recognize just based on the text. We're going to create a more structured way where you can tell the AI what to do with each tool. But in this case, the AI model will be smart enough to know based on this text description that those are the tools it's supposed to use, because it'll look at like, oh yeah, search Google. That looks kind of like that action I have, search Google. And oh yeah, do research with Perplexity. That kind of looks like this action I have down here, do research with Perplexity.
Perfect.
So with that, I kind of want to run it. I want to run it and see what it does.
Do it.
And so let's test it out. I'm going to give everyone just 10 more seconds to copy and paste that result in. But actually don't run the test run along with me. I want everyone to watch the test run that I'm running. You can do your own test runs after the session. So I'm going to hit start a test run. Start a test run button is kind of in the top right of the main canvas of the UI. It's to the right of instant trigger. It's above the little red toggle, and I'm going to hit start a test run. And the test run is going to let me use any of the historical form responses that I've already received to test this AI agent. And so we have that one response that I submitted earlier, which was me, my name, my company name, and my email address. So let's create a test run. And now we're going to shift over into a run view. And the run view is going to show us step by step what the AI is doing as it tries to accomplish this task. So I'm going to start this run, pray to the demo gods and to O3 Mini, and let's see how it goes. So the AI agent has been invoked. Let's see what tool it decides to call first. First, it decided to search Google, and it tried to search Google for Jacob Bank Relay.app LinkedIn profile. Pretty good choice. Pretty good choice. It then got the search results, and then it performed the action, get LinkedIn profile data. Good choice. Good choice. And in fact, it retrieved my actual LinkedIn profile data. Then after that, it chose to do research with Perplexity Sonar Reasoning Pro. Let's see what prompt it put in. Oh, I can't quite see the full prompt here. That's a UI bug. It's asking Perplexity to do something. I don't know what it's asking it to do, but let's see what Perplexity does.
Whatever it's asking for something detailed, which is exciting.
Yeah, okay, so Perplexity came back and finished. So now let's see if the AI agent is going to call any more tools or if it's going to say it's done. Okay, it's going to say it's done. It only needed to call each of those tools once. Now I could have asked it, find all of my coworkers at Relay.app and find their LinkedIn profiles too, and then it would have called those actions multiple times, but it called everything once. And so who wants to see what the AI produced? To see what the AI produced, you're going to see, eventually we'll write this out into a Google Doc or into HubSpot or wherever you want it. I don't know if we'll have time in this session, but this was the meat of it. And so you're going to click on AI, or I told you not to do it, so just watch what I click on. I'm going to click on AI response next to step 2. And here is what the AI produced. Below is a detailed dossier on Jacob Bank and his company Relay.app compiled from recent online research, public data from LinkedIn, and up-to-date news and press updates. Here is my professional background. That is actually where I went to school. I did pursue a PhD in computer science. I did work at a research assistant at Stanford. I did co-found Timeful. I did work at Google in many roles for many years. I am currently the founder CEO of Relay.app. These skills are technically true, but as accurate as LinkedIn skills are. this is actually pretty cool that I have an active presence on LinkedIn, sharing practical tips and insights about AI, workflow automation, product management. I'm known for keeping recommendations actionable and realistic. Oh, I'm flattered. Thank you, AI. That's very kind. And then it has a company dossier about Relay.app. Here's when it was founded. Here's the mission. Here's the tagline. Here's some recent information about the company. Here's some strategic outlook. Pivoting from an era of no code into helping non-technical users develop intelligent assistants, like honestly, pretty spot on, often highlighted as a promising Zapier alternative. And then it gives some conclusion of, oh, pioneering. It's, AI likes to use somewhat flowery language, so I'd probably want to tone it down a little bit. But as you can see, at least from my perspective, the AI did a really good job on this task. Like this is something that would have taken a high quality research assistant probably 30 minutes or an hour to produce. And so I'm actually super happy with the AI agent we just created now. Now, just to tie a bow on it, I want to show you how to go back into workflow mode to take the output of this AI agent and do something with it. Because you could in your AI agent step say, write this all into Google Doc when you're done. But to me, that would add more non-determinism and more unpredictability and more risk than is necessary. Because I want to just say, I know I want to get a Google Doc at the end of this. And so I'm going to go back into my workflow and I'm going to press the plus button at the bottom, the blue plus button. The add step menu is going to pop up again. I'm going to type Google Docs. Don't worry if you've fallen behind at this point, no problem. We'll post it all later. And I'm going to say create Google document. I'm seeing someone drawing some nice annotations on the screen. I actually don't know how you're doing that. That's kind of cool. But maybe just pause for a moment. Yeah. And so I'm going to save this in my drive. You can save this wherever you want. And I'm going to give this title a document, which is like dossier. And then I'm going to reference some data from my form response. I'm going to reference the name, and then I'm going to reference the company name. And for the content, I'm just going to throw in the AI output of my agent, which is step 2. Again, sorry for going a little bit fast here. I just want to run it one more time to show you end to end. So I'm going to paste in the AI output there, and then I'm going to hit done. So now I have my complete AI workflow with an AI agent embedded inside of it for the part where I thought agentic tool calling was actually helpful and necessary. So the workflow is going to trigger on a new form response. It's going to do the AI agent operations we showed. It's going to search Google. It's going to find LinkedIn profiles. It's going to do research with Perplexity, and it's going to emerge with a briefing document at the end. So now I'm going to publish this. I'm going to turn it on. And then, Jan, I'm going to ask you to go visit this form and fill it out with your information. Let me send you the link to it. Let me pull up the chat. I'll send it to everyone in case you want to see later what this AI agent would produce for you. And then Jan, let me know when you filled out the form.
Yes. I've completed the form.
Yep, so you can see it's running now. So the form response triggered. We can see that there's a response from Jan at Go9X. Oh, it looks like you put Jan Meineke as your company name. We'll see if that throws off the AI. And okay, so the AI in this case, it created the following document. Let's see what it made. Oh, so the AI totally dropped the ball on this task. So what I would need to do now is I would need to go in and figure out, like, why did the AI not try to do this? Why did it not try to go search Google to find the LinkedIn profile? And what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to try to replay this run. I'm going to try to run it again.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I'm going to try and submit the form again, putting my company name in properly.
Cool. Okay, so now the AI agent is trying again, and this time it's searching Google. So this is a perfect illustration of the non-determinism and unpredictability of AI agents. The exact same data, the exact same prompt. Last time, it just kind of threw up its hands and said, I don't know what to do. And this time, it's doing exactly what I asked it to do. And so this is why in 90% of cases I recommend using an AI workflow that's more deterministic, but AI agents can be very powerful when applied appropriately. So in this case, I'd probably want to build something into this workflow that's like, if the AI agent just throws up its hands and does a bad job, ask it to try again.
How would you do that?
So I would add another step that basically checks. I would actually use another AI step that says, like, do you think the AI did a good job creating this briefing? And if it says no, I would then make a call to go back to try it again. Okay, so now I have a new document. And now it's done a much better job. So in this case, Jan, even though you put in your name as Jan, the company name as Jan, it was smart enough to know that your company is 9X. So it found you, it found a bunch of information from your personal profile, your professional career. It found a bunch of information about 9X and what 9X does, upskilling and AI process-driven automation. And it talks about you're emerging as a noted thought leader. Several appearances at industry events, and forging strategic partnerships with other key players. And so TLDR, I think this AI agent does a pretty good job at researching people and companies and creating briefing documents, which again, you could then put into HubSpot, Adio, Notion, whatever your CRM is. And that's the end of the demo. We've got a few minutes left for questions. I'm also happy to stay late if people want to go a few minutes.
Amazing. Amazing. We've got a bunch of questions, so I'm going to try and go through them. I think, first of all, I want to like what a few people have said. Obviously, there during the session, we were able to see that there's a certain amount of AI credits being used.
Yes.
People on the free trial, like what you ran there, like I think the Perplexity one itself did like 100 credits, which is obviously more than the free trial. But I think the way you can be thinking
so
about
not
this,
so let me so not actually. So first, our free tier includes 500 AI credits per month.
okay.
So you would have been able to do 5 of those for free.
Yeah.
All those test runs I was doing did not count AI credits.
Oh,
So
amazing.
when you're in testing mode, it shows you it would have cost this many, but the spirit is that you can figure out what your cost profile is for free, and then you can tune it. So for example, in that workflow, the LinkedIn step was like 5 credits or 10 credits, and it was the Perplexity step that was like 80 or 90 credits. So I might go remove that and say, do I really need the Perplexity step? Is it worth the cost? But the other thing to keep in mind is in Relay, you can buy packages of 10,000 AI credits for 20 bucks. So a workflow that costs 100 AI credits, it's like a few cents.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's real like, and so before you go in crazy about optimizing cost, I would really encourage you to think about like, what would it take a human to do
Exactly.
this? And
Exactly.
is it worth 5 cents? Oh, I see Elena just popped into the chat. Elena, this whole session was for you because Elena came to one of my previous sessions and was like, when are you going to do one that's actually an AI agent? And so I'm so glad you joined this one.
Amazing. And I think that's the biggest point there. And not only like how much would it cost you paying a person to do this task, this sort of research is not work that people enjoy doing. It's the mundane stuff that's taking a salesperson away from actually talking to new clients, and it's what kills their productivity.
Yeah, exactly. So what I always recommend is in test mode, use good models. See what's possible. Push the limits of what's possible, then see how much it costs. In most cases, my argument to most businesses will be it's worth every penny. If it's not worth every penny to you because the use case is not strategically valuable enough, yeah, feel free to switch from O3 to one of the Gemini 2.0 models, or switch from Perplexity to Gemini with built-in search, or for OpenAI just launched GPT-4o with built-in search and 4o mini with built-in search. Like, but really ask yourself also what the value of your time is. Like, is it really worth spending another hour trying to get lesser models to work to save a few cents? Like, again, it may be for your business if you're running this 1,000 times a day, but I would worry more about making the thing work really well and then optimize its cost.
Yeah. Awesome. 100% agree. Also and I think that's one of the areas where I just give kudos to you and the team for saying test runs do not count. Go wild and like test this stuff out, even though it's actually costing you guys running this under the hood.
It's costing us. Yeah. So we do have like anti-abuse limits. We don't want you running like, bulk workflows that cost hundreds of dollars for free. But the spirit of it is like, you should be able to figure out what's working without dipping into your limited pool of credits.
Right. And then we have another great question from Yuhi is, if I understand it correctly, mandatory input is a Google form input. So that was a question. And secondly, instead of a Google form, could we feed it with pre-decided table format for it to fill? So if you had a list of people.
Totally. So if you have a Google Sheet or an Airtable or a Notion database or a CRM, all you'd have to do is change that trigger where we triggered based on a new form response, you would change the trigger to be like new row added to Airtable, or new row added to Google Sheet, or new entry added to HubSpot. You could also run this in bulk for everything in your existing database. That's a more advanced feature that I'm happy to share offline. But yeah, wherever this data, Google Form was just an example, wherever this data lives in your business, you can access it.
Perfect. And then with regards to the research, there were a few questions early on with regards to other integrations. I think some of them were mentioned, were asking, can it search YouTube? Can it search Facebook? Can it search Instagram? How's the way we should think about like other platforms for searching?
I actually don't have a great, the answer to that is sometimes, maybe, depending on depending on a variety of things. So for example, Google has a special deal with Reddit. So the Google Gemini models can search Reddit effectively, but I don't think the Google models can search Instagram very effectively. And so at the moment, you're just gonna have to experiment and see what the AI powered search tools can do. In the future, we are expanding the providers we work with every day. So for example, we just added a provider yesterday that can find YouTube transcripts. So you could give your AI the tool to find YouTube transcripts. And so we're going to try to find the best in class provider that can access any data source, but it will take us some time. So if you run into something in your test where you're like, ah, shoot, this can't get Instagram. Do you have a better data provider that can give us access to Instagram? We can look into it.
Amazing, amazing. And a few questions around the recording. So the recording will be published to YouTube, I guess both the 9X channel and probably also the Relay channel.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll be informed when the recording comes out. Nuno, I saw you raised your hand before. Did you still have a question you wanted to jump in and ask?
Yes, perfect. First of all, Jacob, amazing session. Thanks you guys for facilitating this. So my question is, and I've been following you for a while as well. I think you were a big advocate for sometimes you need AI workflows, not AI agents. And I think you can explain pretty properly why in this case, for example, you think an agent would be in favor or just simply an AI automation. Thanks.
Right. So I actually tried to build this as an AI workflow, where I said, okay, first search on Google for Jan, then pull his LinkedIn profile data, then search on Google for his company, then pull the company profile data, then do a search with Perplexity. And honestly, it would have worked. It actually ended up working fine, but it took me about 3 times as long to set up.
Yeah.
And more importantly, it's going to be less flexible, because if I want to change this in the future to say, also look up Jan's co-founders, to do that as a workflow, I'd have to have another step that's like, look up all the profiles of Jan's co-founders, iterate over the profiles of Jan co-founders, fetch the data for each one of them. And so in this special case where I know I might want to do this repeated iterative searching across Google and LinkedIn and other data sources, this is like the one case I found where AI agents are actually really, really awesome and more effective.
And I think the big point you hit there is it's not only on the initial setup, but also on the iteration that's just way faster. Like this is no longer a technical challenge. It's literally just adjusting the prompt. And like another perfect, I think a use case also on the research side, and sort of ties into like the credit usage. There's this concept in enrichment around like waterfall enrichment. And an AI agent is perfect for this, saying, hey, first search Google. If you get the information from Google, stop there and fill out the dossier. Next, go to source B.
And again, you could build that all into your workflow. You could build that with paths, which say, if I got a satisfactory answer for this, then end early. If I got a satisfactory answer for this, then end early. You could totally build that all into the workflow builder, whether it's in Relay or Zapier or Make or N8N or whatever automation tool you want. But this is a case where agents are actually the perfect tool for the job.
100% agree. And Deepa, you've got your hand up as well. What do you think?
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I can totally see how this can be super useful for investors if they are doing due diligence on the founders, for example. So for me, in my particular case, it's the other way around. I actually want to look for a bunch of investors who could be interested in our product, for example. So how would you recommend me to go the reverse way? Like I want to be able to give my keywords.
I'm so glad you asked this. I'm going to be doing this session in 2 weeks, which is given kind of like an ICP, find a list of leads. Like I'm looking for investors for my business. I'm looking for clients for my business. I'm looking for partners for my business. First, I'll tell you the basic architecture and then a couple pitfalls to watch out for. So you would give the AI agent very similar tools to the tools you gave the AI agent in this example. The AI agent can search Google. It can find LinkedIn profiles. It can search with Perplexity, but you'd give it a different prompt. the top level prompt. The prompt would be, instead of just researching this person, you would say, find me a list of 100 tech investors that fit my ideal criteria. And you could type out your ideal criteria, or you could attach in a document, or you could say that I've invested in other companies like this. Now, the challenge I've observed in this is when you tell an AI agent that's like, go find me a list of X, they often like to quit early. Like they'll find 5 and they'll just be like, well, found 5. Like I found you a list. And so you kind of have to ask for, then you try to ask for 1,000. And then the AI agent says, I couldn't find 1,000. So then they just give up. And so the tricky thing about that use case is you kind of have to tune how many you want it to find and make sure that that is an achievable number. And so in the case of, for example, investors for a SaaS business, I would probably say find 50. Here's what I'm looking for. Keep trying until you find 50. If I was looking for every mom and pop bakery in the world, I might say find 1,000, because I know there's so many mom and pop bakeries in the world that finding 1,000 should be doable. And so, yeah, so the tool construction is very similar. You'll adapt your prompt and then make sure you tell your AI how many you want to get back.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
cool.
I think on top of that, if it's something, because this is what I tend to see, if this is something that you probably just don't want to run once, but maybe you want this to run like once a week, once a month, and typically your first 50 results will always be the same. So what you can feed into the agent is having like save the list of what it returns in a Google Sheet, give the agent access to read that Google Sheet and say, find me leads, but don't report any that are already in this list. And
that's such a great suggestion for 2 reasons. One is it'll make sure you don't get duplicates. And second, you can tell the AI, find more that look kind of like these ones.
Yeah, 100%.
Because then the AI can do a really good job of pattern matching what your profile is.
Yeah, I could actually try this out and maybe write to you for more
Please
feedback.
try it out. Let me know when you want to. Be forewarned. I think it'll take a few hours to get this working right. It's a hard use case. But I plan to do it in a build with me session in a couple weeks. So I'll definitely take your learnings into account.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Super exciting. Let me check if there's more questions coming up. Looking forward to use determine ICP. Yes, 100%. Awesome. Any more questions, guys? Otherwise, like one more thought from my side as well, just for the architecture of this workflow. I think one other key step is obviously when a lead fills out a form, we want to do a research, but we probably also want to save that information to like a CRM system somewhere. One important factor is where people then tend to jump is like, our AI agent can talk to HubSpot. So let's have our AI agent put the lead into HubSpot. I really think a big thing is like, and this is what you touched on at the start, Jacob, is separating when it should be an automation and when it should be an AI agent. And the best flow is person fills out a form, immediately go ahead and save their name, email, and their company name inside your CRM. That has got, an agent has nothing to do with it. And then trigger your lead research agent, which could then go and update that same record. But like, there's really, you have to always think is in the key things, like what's the most important thing here is that someone signs a form, you need to save that information, right? And don't let an AI agent hallucinate and potentially break that. Save it first and then run your AI agent for the creative stuff that it can do afterwards.
Exactly. And such an important point. And this is why I think the line between workflow and agent is blurry, and we shouldn't debate whether AI agents or AI workflows are better in principle, because we all need to use them both when they're the right tool for the job.
Yeah, amazing. Awesome. No, I think everyone's a lot of thanks in the chat, Jacob, for the amazing session. I think most of the products are coming with AI workflow. Yeah, this was one.
I want to answer Elena's question, because that's an important one that I just touched on. So for this use case, Elena, all of the tools I gave my agent were one step. And so that additional layer of create the action with the inputs and then create the step, you're totally right, was duplicative. It would have been way easier to just tell my agent at the top level, you can search Google, you can get LinkedIn profiles, you can use Perplexity. This is an area where we've probably built something too powerful and too complex that's not necessary. But in those individual tools, you could make it a multi-step workflow. So you could say, one of my AI agents is search Google, get the LinkedIn profile, and update my CRM, all in that one tool call. Or you could say the tool call is search Google, get the LinkedIn profile, have a human in the loop, and then update my CRM. And so you can make, this is why I say the AI agent is an advanced feature, you can make those individual actions and tools as complex as workflows themselves. This is an area where we probably need to simplify, but that's why we have that extra layer of indirection.
Yeah, 100%. There's a question here. One last question from Hake, asking, how can you go about estimating the average monthly spend to create, I guess not create, but to run agents like this?
Yeah, so let's say you've done some test runs off a form and you figure it's going to cost about 100 credits per run. You would then see how many form responses do you get on your website in a given day. Maybe you get 10. So it's like, okay, I'm going to spend 1,000 credits a day on this. I'm really bad at arithmetic. That's 30,000 credits a month. So that might be $50 a month, something like that.
Yeah.
And you can do the math that way.
Exactly. And then really understand, I think it does force us a little bit to look at the unit economics of understanding, like, is it worth it for every lead? But these models are only getting cheaper, and like you said,
exactly. And so for $50 a month, honestly, I'd say, like, yeah, just do it for all of them. But you could totally say, like, I only want to do it for the 10% of leads that match this basic bar and cut it down to $5 a month.
Yeah. And I think another one on top of that, of course, now we're starting to like splash the cash a little bit. But I think one important thing that I see a lot in sales is it's not just important the moment that the lead signs up. Also, let's imagine 6 months down the track, if you're working with a larger sales team and there's like some people tried to get contacted immediately, but it didn't work out. 6 months later, we maybe want to re-engage some previous leads. Potentially, you also want to give your sales agents the ability to re-trigger this research, right? Because otherwise they're dealing with 6-month-old data that might be completely like
and this is a one very powerful capability we have available. It's called a sequence, which you can think of as a sub workflow. So you could use this AI research agent when you get a new lead through your form, or you could use this AI research agent when you have a meeting upcoming with a prospect 6 months later. And so once you've created this AI agent research building block, you can use it in a few different ways.
Perfect. Jacob, I don't know if you want to answer this one from Mario, otherwise I can as well, but how would you, I guess it's probably better if you answer it. How would you position Relay in the market against competitors like Relevance/Lindy? We're currently evaluating different agentic workflow providers.
Yeah. So first in the space, I think there's two top level categories of tools. I think I mentioned this earlier. There's the traditional automation players, Zapier, Make, N8N, etc., that are all layering on more AI. Those are going to have the most integrations, and those are going to have the most kind of historical brand and features around automations, but they're going to be a little bit behind in AI, the AI first nature of the experience, though they're all executing well. Then in the kind of modern AI agent providers, there's us, Relay.app, Lindy you mentioned, Relevance you mentioned, Gumloop you mentioned. For completeness, I should also mention Stack AI and Crew AI, and there's several others. The best answer I can give is they all have free tiers. Go try them. It's actually pretty hard. So like Relevance is a little better for knowledge bases and a little worse for structured workflows. Lindy is probably the one that's most similar to Relay overall, but Lindy is a bit more magical and a bit less deterministic. Gumloop is more data oriented and for a more technical audience. Stack is more of an enterprise player. And so I can't give you a clean feature checkbox of like, this has this feature, this doesn't have this feature. I really recommend spending an hour playing with each of them and seeing which one you like.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, I think 9X, we're probably the exception to the rule, because I do understand for larger businesses that you do need to make decisions and you need to have things going through due diligence. At 9X, we use all of them because it is obviously it's something that we teach for trainings. But what we see at the moment is all of the different tools, there's certain capabilities and everyone's really pushing the boundary. And like right now, what Jacob showed in his agent step is like super, super powerful. On Lindy, you might have very specific integrations, like it's got the ability to
Lindy has meeting recording. We don't have meeting recording. Lindy has voice agents. We don't have voice agents. So it'll kind of depend. Now, will we not have voice agents forever? No, of course, we're going to have voice agents at some point also. And so it's really cool that the market is moving so fast and you have so many great options.
Yeah. And I think Alina hit the nail on the head is like choosing a tool, list down what requirements you have and then test according to those needs. I think that's great advice. But what I would say is because everything really is usage based, you don't need to limit yourself to one.
So
right?
everything is the Relay.app subscription, there's a free tier. The basic professional tier, which has quite a lot of steps and AI credits, is $20 a month. And so if you're paying $20 a month for a few subscriptions and using them as the right tool for the job, it's actually not crazy.
That's what 3 ChatGPT licenses or one third of a ChatGPT Pro.
But I do understand that there is a learning curve and you want to train your company on one. But there's no substitute to just trying this tool out for yourself and seeing what you like.
Yeah.
And in addition to the tool, one other thing I want to mention is, yes, the tool is important, but the content and community around it is also important because You want to have the templates. You want to have the inspirational use cases. You want to have the other community members that you can ask questions to. You want to have, sessions like this. So also make sure that the product that you pick has an active content and community story, which I think every tool we've mentioned does.
Yeah, for sure. Quick question from Tim. Like, let me know, Jacob, whenever you need to jump. And
I'm
get
good. I'm good.
get
Yeah,
your
I'm just
new,
waiting for my new internet provider to show
exactly,
up.
whenever the new internet comes. Tim
Yeah.
asked, how can I change the output language to German?
Just tell the prompt.
It's all in prompting, right? Once you set up
Yeah,
the
just
basics,
say,
then it's
just say write German for me. It'll
I
work.
tried. It didn't work.
Really? Okay. Then I might
so-
need to follow up with you offline. In my test, that has always worked.
Yeah, okay.
And Tim, just to know, which model were you using?
I was using exactly the same like you guys did.
So
O3
Tim,
Linear.
another
Okay.
option is we do have a first-class AI translate step that is built specifically for translation. So you could have an AI translate step at the very end of your workflow that just says, please translate this from English to German.
And one way that I would probably even recommend that in the terms of when it's compiling its research, it really depends though, Tim, is if you're researching, for instance, if you're researching on LinkedIn, most of it will still be in English. But if the research is in German, then maybe it's good to have already that dossier created in German. But if the research is in English and then you want it translated to German, it's probably best to create the dossier first and then have the whole thing translated.
Yeah, because the issue I had, I did the workflow and I looked up for myself, and there it seems to be there's another Tim Stiefel living in Rochester, so he was always giving me the Rochester Tim, and then
I
I
see.
changed that he only should look to people living in Germany,
Gotcha.
and then he
Yeah, and
found me, and then I wanted to change the language to German, and then he got back to the Rochester Tim.
Ah, interesting. Another thing that you can do is you could add a human in the loop step. That's like, let's say before the LinkedIn profile step or before the Perplexity step, you could ask like, hey, am I looking up the LinkedIn profile for the right person? Just double check this before I do and that's where having in your AI action, you could add a human in the loop step. We won't have time to show it in this demo. It's a more advanced feature, but you can always inject yourself if you need to give the AI some more guidance.
Okay.
Awesome. Path's got a more sales related question. So while this agent will help us generate leads into the CRM, can we enhance it further to score the leads based on their website activity, ICP fit, interaction with the company, and other factors a company considers for scoring its leads?
Yes. The only asterisk on there is the AI will only be as good as the data it can access. So for example, it is not always possible to find the website traffic of your prospects. Yeah, there's tools out there that SimilarWeb and whatever that are data providers. So in short, anything you could ask an intern to do, you can ask the AI agent to do, but you might need to give it access to data subscriptions or other resources for it to be able to get the job done.
Yeah. Perfect. RE scoring leads, it might be better to connect an app which specializes in this. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a good general point, which is Relay is a horizontal tool. And so a horizontal tool is often a useful starting point for many businesses, but there are going to be specific areas where you might want to delegate to a specialized tool. For example, if you want to do a LinkedIn profile finding waterfall, you might just want to call Clay and say, hey, Clay, do this for me, or find this list of leads for me and then process them in Relay. Same thing with there are many lead scoring tools. And so that's a choice for you and your business. We tend to use horizontal tools at Relay and just keep prompting until they can do everything we need them to do. But I totally understand if you have a specialized tool already purchased in some domain, you could just make a call to that tool from Relay.
Perfect. Any other questions, guys? Thanks so much for all the engagement in the chat as well. Anything else? Nah, awesome. Then I think we'll wrap it up there. Jacob, thank you so much.
Thanks, all. Great session.
Amazing. That was
I really appreciate
honestly,
everyone joining.
Yeah, it was amazing to see the first live agent on Relay.app in action, and so I'm looking forward to testing it out for myself as well.
Yeah, great. And to reach me, I'm at Jacob@Relay.app. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Always happy to hear additional use cases, suggestions, ideas.
Amazing. Alrighty, everyone. Then have a great day or a great evening wherever you are, and thanks so much.
See y'all next time. Bye.
See ya. Bye.